help us spread #SaveRoblox and get it trending on X, so we can force Roblox to change its moderation tactics. So recently the Roblox Twitter influencer CaptainSteve was exposed for being very inappropriate with a 16-year-old while he was 20. This all started when the Roblox YouTuber Paolo released a series of tweets exposing the allegations, which caused major backlash from the Roblox community, and it only gets worse as more stuff is being unearthed. For the context of the interactions, Steve and the victim named Simone became friends when Simone was 12 while Steve was 16, which can be confirmed in a message by Simone herself, which is very concerning, especially regarding their age gap that existed when Simone was just turning into a teenager. And the biggest red flag in this post was that the then 17-year-old high school senior Steve chose to friend a 12-year-old, with a massive maturity difference between the two. However, this situation also dives into the repetitive behavior around Simone, with numerous flirty-like comments being sent publicly by Steve, with the accusations being supported by multiple tweets over the years which revealed the questionable interactions. And while these look like quote jokes, they were still inappropriate given the age and maturity gaps in context of said relationship. For example, last year Steve called Simone Pookie, which is a phrase used in a flirting method. While not alarming alone, it does prove that a trend of alarming messages was beginning to take hold, which makes the interactions a lot more worse than initially thought. Steve would also send these weird alarming messages to the then 16-year-old, which is something a 20-year-old should not say, and the nature of these comments shows either a lack of awareness or disregard for how severe the messages look. And as it turns out, Simone was not the only minor this degenerate interacted with. As it turns out, he was interacting with a 15-year-old named Gwamgo with similar alarming messages and comments. And much like Simone, there's a clear age gap, yet Steve chose to flirt with Gwamgo and interact in an inappropriate way. And then there's Kyla, 14 to 15-year-old minor, was also at the receiving end of Steve's degenerate messages. That only further enforces this disturbing pattern. Steve made inappropriate remarks to not just one or two minors, but 3 minors without hesitation. This behavior remains consistent and there is no denying it or claiming it's a joke. It's a repeated issue, and it doesn't end here, as he is also seen to be interacting with numerous NSFW accounts on his main Twitter account, which is followed by minors, further proving that this is a pattern of inappropriate behavior. And this gets even more worse, as it was revealed that on his own Discord server he could be seen making inappropriate comments to even more minors, all while being the age of 20 years old, while also inviting controversial figures like Luca, who interacted with a 14-year-old when he was 19, and admitted to this numerous times in Steve's own Discord server. And despite this, Steve did not ban this child predator whatsoever. Steve's quote response is basically all an attempt to downplay the situation and to victimize himself, only to make the situation even more worse than before. Simone herself confirms that she and Steve had been friends since she was 12, further reinforcing concerns about the age and maturity gaps and that all the flirting messages were just comments, and saying that Steve has autism and struggles with English. Like, this is literal BS, because having autism does not excuse your actions. And instead of directly addressing the allegations, Simone's response was much more focused on attacking Paolo, the one who initially exposed Steve, who also denies all the allegations, and, rather than providing a clear defense, he shifts the blame, attempts to silence criticism on Twitter, and only reinforces the pattern of behavior that was initially exposed. This quote response was basically a carbon copy of the response the Roblox child predator Potamer used when justifying his actions. The response only mentions Simone, and never mentions the other minors he was interacting with. And as it turns out, Paolo took down his posts because Simone messaged her entire Discord server to get Paolo's account and tweets unjustifiably taken down. While there is more alarming stuff like Steve's ties with a controversial Roblox Twitter influencer named Prox, I've pretty much made the point clear. And while Steve is not a child predator unlike Potamer or even Alaskan Reality and Kaneko Kitten, this situation clearly shows Steve is a full-on degenerate who is not to be trusted on a platform full of minors, although I wouldn't be surprised if more victims come out with more proof regarding Steve's behavior. Anyways, that is all for this video. Please spread this video around so more people are made aware of this situation, and make your own videos going over this situation as well. and this video is not intended for hate, harassment or cyberbullying towards the people mentioned in this video, but instead it's to act as an educational and informative video going over the situation at hand. Goodbye.